Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Today is Monday, October 6th, 2025. Here we are in southwestern Nevada, Pahrump or Pahrumpertucky, you choose, which is in the mountainish, hillish area east of Death Valley, west of Sin City, south of Area 51. Hardscrabble territory, mostly hardscrabble territory, a lot of retirees who came here because it was a lot less expensive than Las Vegas, which is a lot less expensive than California. So a lot of retired people who worked hard their whole lives. Hard Scrabble. I worked hard, I got mine, you go get yours. Sharp elbowed, a lot of sharp elbowed people out here, pistol packing people. Very good ground to hone one's skills, regardless of what they might be. Skills for good or not. But that's where we are, and it is about 6 o'clock in the morning. This is Department of Career Services, and we are on day one of week one of this 4-week neuroscience approach to success. So over the next 4 weeks, we'll be going through this, 400-page book. Reading about 100 pages a week. 4 hours a day is what it takes to get through this. So 4 hour per day, 7-day per week, 28-day program. Righto. So yes, you do have to use your right toe to get this done. But anyway, here we are. So if you haven't been here before, the purpose of the podcast is two things. One is to introduce the State Pen Workbook, the Neuroscience-Oriented Approach to Success. And two is to create a routine and build better habits. Again, this is day one of week one. And what we're going to do over the next 4 weeks from a neuroscience perspective, not from a spiritual, not from a psychological, not from a sociological, but from a neuroscience perspective, is to answer 2 questions. 1, who am I? Who am I? And number 2, why do I behave the way I do? And the idea is if we can answer both of those questions correctly, then we have the ability to dial in who we need to be right now. Who's the optimal me right now? And then 5 minutes from now, or whenever now is, I can dial in who I need to be. I don't have the external environment controlling me, or my imagination controlling me, or other people controlling me. I can control myself, which is the aim of Stoicism and most other philosophies. So that's what we're doing from a neuroscience perspective. Who am I, and why do I behave the way I do? So over the next 4 weeks, the program is designed around a 4-week period that you can join at any time, and it just keeps repeating, as this has done since 2014 at least. For 11 years, every month, repetition. So things that we're going to be doing the next 30 days, people have done for the thousands of students who've been in our program, from prison, from jail, from life, the same exact program. Who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? From a neuroscience perspective, so I can dial in who I need to be right now. Okay, so the 4 weeks are divided as follows. Week 1, overview and orientation. Get an idea of the field, why we're doing what we do, how we're going about it, etc. So today we're going to talk about the brain, talking about brain scans, and how you damage the brain and how you fix the brain. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about IQ. Wednesday, addiction. Thursday, the importance of stories. And Friday is, I don't remember who Friday is right now, but it doesn't matter. So, and then next week, week 2, is inside my skull-sized kingdom, inside my brain. So we're going to look at neurons. We're going to look at neurotransmitters and hormones. We're going to look at the reticular activating system to see how I have beliefs and where they come from. Things trigger the beliefs. The beliefs or the trigger then releases certain neurotransmitters that make me feel a certain way. My feelings affect my behavior. My behavior affects the outcome, and the outcome tends to support my beliefs. So it goes around and around and around and around and around. And if we understand that, we can start over here and say, what's the outcome I want? What's the behavior I need? What do I need to feel to behave that way? What is the trigger, or what is the belief, and what's the trigger for the belief? So if I need to run into a burning building, if that's the outcome I want to save a child, then I need to release certain neurotransmitters like oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, endorphins. I need to have massive doses of those things, and it just go. If I need to not run into a burning building, I need a lot of cortisol. I need to get frozen, stiff, that I don't know what to do, or I'm afraid I'm going to have half of my face burned off. So, but I have the ability to choose which I want to believe. That's where we want to get. So week 2, how does the brain work? Week 3, since I know how my brain works, I know how everyone else's brain works, and I need people to help me on my adventure of my life. I cannot do it effectively on my own. So how do I bond with other people? How do I get other people to see the world the way I see the world? Because if they believe in me, they will believe me. Boom. And then week 4 is management, leadership, power, whatever you want to call it. It is being able to effectively deal with people. Okay, cool. So to make it even simpler, we break it down into a metaphor of a boat. And our life is like an adventure. It's the adventure of a lifetime. And we have to build a boat to go on this journey, this great adventure. We need to design the boat. We need to think in terms of the sails. We need to think in terms of the steering mechanism so we can go where we want to go. We don't have to, we're not dependent upon the current. We're not dependent upon just having the wind push us. We can cut across the wind. We can cut across the current. There's things we can do if we have good sails and a good steering mechanism. Then we need the below deck part, the place we go for safety, security, comfort. When it's hot outside, we go to keep cool. When it's cold outside, we go to keep warm. We go down there to eat, to sleep. We have our supplies there. We store our treasures there, the things we accumulate down below. So we need to have a good below deck. And then we need to have a sturdy hull. So those are the 4 parts of the boat. We have to build this boat with keeping those things into consideration. And then if we take that metaphor to a different level, or we take it back to reality, it would be the boat metaphor. The sails are like our body, the physical part. So we focus on physical fitness and health. We need to be physically fit. We need to have a body that can take our brain where it wants to go for 100 years. So we need to be concerned about our health, what we ingest, and fitness, work, exercising our body. That's like the sails that get us from point A to point B. The steering mechanism is like our brain. And we have to have a disposition that we're students and we are always learning, always learning. The below deck is like our emotions, which we need to be able to control. It's where we go to keep centered and safe and set, etc. And then the whole is the spiritual side of life. The whole is the thing. If everything else fails, but the whole is intact, we can drift along. Somebody comes along and saves us. But if the hull is ruptured, we're going to go down and lose everything. So that's that idea. Now we can take it over to a spiritual side and have the physical, mental, and emotional as gifts from God. The gift of life broken down into three things. One, I have the gift of this body, which is unique. Human body is unique compared to all other organisms, all other life forms. We can just do things that no other thing can do. Now, yeah, other things can do things we can't do, but the things we can do that they can't do make us special and enable us to become special and unique. We have a brain that's unlike in terms of capacity, not design, but capacity that's different than any other brain in the world. In fact, it's the most complex thing in the universe other than the universe. We don't understand it. We don't really know how it works. We're getting there. We learn. We continue to learn a lot, but it's still a mystery. It's a gift of this magnificent brain that enables us to imagine things. The third gift we have is the gift of our emotions. And again, our emotions compared to the emotions of any other animal they far surpass any other animal, or we have a broader depth of emotions than any other animal. Broader depth? It's broader and more deep. How about that? Than any other animal. That is a gift, an unmerited favor, unmerited. We didn't do anything to earn it. And here our belief is a gift is a gift. It's not a bargain for exchange. It's not, I'm going to let you, I own you, but I'm going to let you enjoy me driving the show. We're not marionettes. Our existence precedes our essence. Our essence does not precede our existence. So we'll get more into that later. But our existence precedes our essence. We are and then we become. Okay, so that's 13 minutes of an explanation of week 1 of our 4-week program. And week 1 in overview and orientation. Today we're learning about the brain plasticity from the expert. And that's the thing we do here is we go to the people who are considered experts. That most of the people who lead the field who have mastered the agree, yeah, that person's an expert. Yeah, he's good. He's solid. So this is Dr. Daniel Amen, who does brain scans. And I don't know, so maybe 200,000 brain scans now. They learn a lot from the brain scans. And what he deals with is if your physical brain is defective, your behavior will be affected. So he talks about the brain. He says the brain is the consistency of soft butter. It's easy to damage. But if you damage the brain, it can be repaired to a certain extent. And that is what is called, the repair part is called a Brain Smart program. And by the way, this is a Brain Smart program. This is a Brain Smart program. So Daniel Amen says, Dr. Amen says there's 5 basic ways to damage the brain. So we're saying you have to start with a healthy brain and it gets damaged. If you damage the brain, the behavior, the thinking, the behavior are impacted. So that's hot. How do we damage the brain? 5 ways. Number 1, drugs. Drugs damage your brain. 2, alcohol. Alcohol damages your brain. No drugs, no alcohol. 3, traumatic brain injury. You did something bonk to hit your head, and you smashed your head into your skull, and you caused brain damage. 4, brain disease. You've got a disease in your brain that is destroying how your brain works. And 5, something growing on your brain, like a cyst or cancer. Right, those are the 5 ways to damage your brain. And most of our students have 3 or 4 drugs, alcohol, traumatic brain injury. Almost all of our people have at least 2 of those, drugs and alcohol. So they damage your brain, but a Brain Smart program can improve your brain. Not to the point of what it could have been had you been an infant and you had no brain damage and you did the best you could do. Not to that level, but better than it is and then where it's going. Brain Smart program. So that's the TED Talk for today is a brain scans, how we can damage our brain and what we do if we damage it. Hope is not lost. There are things that can be done to improve the brain. And again, this is a Brain Smart program. Daniel Amen's Brain Smart programs might look a lot like remembering the past. Who are these pictures? Who are these people in the pictures? Where did you grow up? Who is this? What is this? Where did you get these clothing? Et cetera, and just retraining the brain on those things. Here, it's not about the past. Our Brain Smart program is about the future, where we want to be in 3 years, and the things we need to do that. So it's working out the brain, exercising the brain, focused on the future, but still into this, who am I and why do I behave the way I am? I do. Okay, who am I? Who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? If we look at this from a neuroscience perspective, who am I? Well, I'm over 100 trillion cells. There's over 100 trillion cells in my body, and that make up who I am. I'm nothing but a collection of over 100 trillion cells. And then it gets interesting when you ask the question, how many of these cells know who I am? And the answer is none. So I am me, but I'm made up of 100 trillion cells that none of them know who I am. Interesting. We can bring it to the brain and say there are 86 billion neurons in our brain, and each neuron has about 10,000 connections. That'll be clear next week. So that's called the connectome, number of neurons times number of connections per neuron. So for a human brain, that's like what, 8.6 trillion, 86 billion times 1,000 would be 86 trillion. It's a big number. Okay, 860 trillion connections. That's the human brain. That makes up who I am. So who I am is I'm a collection of cells, and of which there are 86 billion neurons. And those neurons have connections to about 10,000 other neurons. Every neuron touches about 10,000 other neurons. So those connections make up who I am. In those connections and the way they fire reside my lived past, so we could call that memory, but I'll say lived past, my anticipated future, my ability to simulate things, my personality. All of those things are stored in the neurons in my brain. How do we know? Because if we damage our brain, our ability to do those things goes away. Look at somebody who's had a stroke. Right. Okay, well, we are at about time. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about IQ. How important what is it and why is it so important? And if we know it's important, what can we do with our IQ to make sure that we maximize who we are? Okay, So that's it. We're going to say and cut and cut.